Well, it's a very good evening to you, or good day to wherever you are, your time of day. This is myself, Doc Ant, and my guest, Daniel Van Sale. We are so excited to be here tonight because remember, leaders are readers. And because of that, we are here tonight to, yes, advocate this book that has absolutely changed around both our lives, both Daniel's and myself. And that is why we are taking you through this and looking at practical application of what we hear and how we apply that to our lives. And tonight it's chapter 4. Daniel, what's important about chapter 4? Please tell us.
It's a great chapter. This is now where we get into the meat of the book, and as you said earlier, there's two things that's gonna stand out tonight that we talk about, or when we talk about it, and you need to be in for this because these two things are very important in the book. It's sort of the baseline, or why you can say the foundation where everything is built upon. So I'm looking forward to this chapter because it's a meaty chapter and it's got a lot in it.
So what two things, Daniel? Can I ask you, what two things?
No. Let's go through it and then we get there.
Oh, holding it out. Fantastic. Okay, Daniel, we are in the book of chapter 4. I'm turning to page 34, where basically these two friends and I got together. We're talking about Og Mandino.
Yeah.
We're talking about Simon Potter and the dog Lazarus getting together again. And for a change, Simon Potter is wearing a suit. And Simon says, man, I've never seen this man in a suit and a tie before. And I can see old Simon Potter cheekily saying, how do you come to visit a company president looking like a bum? Could I? Do you see the respect?
Obviously, they've been away for a while, and it's sort of like Simon couldn't not visit him again, and he built up the courage to actually go to Og's business, and that's where it comes in. Is like, yeah, I can't go visit this big guy or CEO without being properly dressed. I can't just come out with my rags and stuff like that. So yeah, that's awesome, and it's showing respect.
In fact, it shows the power of influence. I mean, the moment Simon was going to go to Og Mandino's office, he actually thought to himself, I used to be a company president before. I want to honor the company president I'm going to by dressing the part. And I think there's a big takeaway for us, and that is that sometimes we need to dress for the occasion because the way we come prepared says so much about the story we want to tell. Isn't that true?
And even being dressed in that way also tells a story in itself, if you can think about that. Yeah.
There's a saying in the market, dress for success.
Yes.
That's what works.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, and then they basically look around and a question is asked, and that is that I wonder if your magazine publisher, W. Clement Stone, was a rag picker. Now, do you think he was? Clement Stone?
I would say yes, because Og wasn't in a good place before this guy started publishing his books. So yeah, I would say definitely yes. He put him from one way, I would say, pushed him or nudged him to where he is today, a very, very prominent writer.
And here we find that even Og Mandino, that became this famous writer, once was also in the doldrums, and 16 years before this day was picked up by W. Clement Stone and raised to the next level. Now, isn't it true how God always has a solution? Because God's solution to a problem is always a person. And in Og Mandino's case, that time it was W. Clement Stone, and in this time it actually is Simon Potter.
Potter, yeah.
I think we just need to say to ourselves, nothing happens by coincidence. God places people in your life at the right time, at the right place for things to happen. Right.
Yeah, it's basically guidance. He put people in your way to guide you from the next step that you need to get to. So maybe today maybe nudge you this way, and then tomorrow, in a few years down a day or tomorrow, nudge you the other way. So it's basically put people in your way to get you to be the best person you can at the end of the day.
And I think we need to just stop for a moment and say, why is this coming my way? What is the reason for it? What must I learn?
Yes.
Like we said in the previous chapter, it's not why, Lord, it's what do you want me to learn? And what is the takeaway from every situation? Well, we see in this situation there that Simon nodded, and it says, because ragpickers all tried to follow the biblical command, which Lloyd Douglas popularized in his book, The Magnificent Obsession. Now, a book, The Magnificent Obsession, came out that time and caused a stir in the market, because there was a effect that happened in the market that the moment this book, The Magnificent Obsession, came out, there was a principle that literally changed everything. And we saw the fantastic thing, and that's fascinating, that when this book came out, Bible sales skyrocketed. Why?
Correct.
Can you tell us why? Why did Bible sales skyrocket?
It's like, to put it in a short, that they talk about is, I think Simon, it's Og that says, you mean to do good and then shut up.
Absolutely. So, so there we have it. And isn't it true that so often people who do good want to really have a tap on the shoulder or a pat on the back, and they want the whole world to know about it and say, do you know what I did? Know what we did? And basically, we find that there's a beautiful gem hidden here in terms of there's a biblical command that says exactly the opposite of that, because there's the principle. And it says that when you give, watch out that you don't give in such a way like a hypocrite that wants everybody to know. Because if you've done it in that way, you have received your reward, your due reward. However, whatever you do, you do in secret. Your Heavenly Father knows what you've done, and He will reward you accordingly in this life. I thought, wow. So there we have it. And literally, like it says, you mean do good and shut up about it. Don't let other people know about what you did. Isn't that true?
Yeah, you do good in secret, and then your reward will become will be shown to the people. The reward is physically shown. If you do it in secret, the reward is shown. But if you do it in the open and let everybody make a spectacle, your reward would be that is the reward you got, nothing more.
That's it. Your reward is what they think about you at that moment or what they say at the moment. Yet, why would you go for a small reward if you can have a better reward?
Huge one.
I think there's the principle of life. And that is that I believe that this book is setting us up to say, often we have opportunities to do good in people's lives, and how we conduct ourselves is determined on this principle. I mean, well, here's the truth. And that is that the Bible sales skyrocketed because this passage that teaches the principle we just spoke about was never mentioned in the book of the obsession. So for the listeners out here today, can you tell us where that principle is in the best book of all times, the book of truth? Because it was never given in that book. And that is why Bible sales skyrocketed, because people were like, where is it?
Where is it? Where was it written?
It wasn't told. Nobody was gonna fib and tell you where it was. Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome. And it will be interesting to see how many of the listeners, if you're listening now or later, whenever you see this, to write down in the comments below what you think is actually this passage from the Bible that is mentioned here.
That's right.
Let's see if you can find it.
Some of you know your Bible good enough to know exactly where it is. Others go and use the back of your Bible so you can actually go do some research. But then again, Google is your friend. I know there's a quicker way to do it, but it's not given. You need to go and search for it. There's some magic in searching for an answer. And this is what we're finding in this book. There's magic in searching for answers, because that is what is happening with Og Mandino. Og Mandino has met Simon Potter. In his mind, he's searching for answers all the time. Why did I meet this man? What is the purpose of us meeting? And as you said, there's a secret that in tonight, there's two secrets, in fact, that will be revealed. Why the two of them actually have met. And we're going to get to that. Okay. So now the story takes us to where these guys are walking in the office, and Simon Potter's walking around looking at all the important people, photographs on the wall if he'd seen, people like Robert Kennedy, Robert Redford, Barbara Streisand, Ben Hogan, Norman Vincent Peale, and like Simon Powell, like, wow. And but he's sort of teasing Og Mandino a bit and said, Robert Redford, wow. He teases him a bit. But here's the truth: is that in our flesh, in our way, we want to know who's who. We want to let people know who we met.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of those. I mean, if I had the opportunity to be the state president, I'll make sure that I sneak in a picture, like, let's just quickly do a selfie. You know what I mean? We're all guilty of it because all of us crave that significance of recognition. Isn't that true, Daniel?
Yeah, it's basically seeking clout, seeking like, hey, this man must be important because look at the people he's hanging around. Like, that thing is, that saying is like, you're just as valuable as the 5 people you hang around.
True, true. Well, the truth is, more important than the people that you're with is the person who you are. But even more important than that is not who you are, but whose you are. Now you make that up your mind. You decide for yourself whose you are. Number one, I know I am the son of my earthly daddy, but also know that there's today a different call and a different superior that I literally report to in my life. But you can decide for yourself what you want, whatever that means to you. But it does say that there's some form of accountability. The same as you, Daniel. You and I have got an accountability towards each other as business partners. And that is that when you actually reflect on something and say, I really believe you should look at the following principle, I immediately listen because you've been there, you've done it, you've seen the actual results. And I respect that. And I think, there's a verse that says, iron sharpens iron. And for that reason, that's Proverbs 27:17, guys. Iron sharpens iron. And this is how friendships are taken to the next level. So I'll give you that one because it's not in the book. Okay. That's why you got it.
Yeah.
So now we have it. And then on the top of page 37, I want you just to read, if I remember that last night at your place. Just read us that part there, Daniel.
Remember that last night at your place when we discovered all these amazing coincidences between my book, Hero, and you. How can I ever forget?
Okay. Now, can you remember the story how Fit and his wife's name was? Lisha. And this again is Sam saying, I just cannot believe it. Before you met me, my wife's name was in your book.
Was in the book.
You'd never met me. You didn't know about me. Yet the name of Hafid's wife was Lisha, which was the name of Simon Potter's wife. And he's still like, I cannot believe it. Is it a coincidence? Well, I think this is something that we find out while we read this book, is that certain things that are very specific have come across our path, have happened in a specific way, and guess what? It's not a coincidence. We were at the right time, the right place at the right time, and that's why things are definitely happening. We are part of the greater cog of things. I mean, from the creation of the world, our destiny is there in front of us in terms of what will we do with the life that has been given to us. Will we mess it up, or will we take it serious enough to say, what am I here for? How do I purpose myself in this life for the betterment of others? And there's a bit of a trick in there, Daniel. Isn't it true that we sometimes are so self-centered that it's all about me, I, and myself, which I call the
me. Yeah.
Me, I, and myself, as opposed to others. Okay, so now we find that it discussed what happened that Sunday night, and then he says that the Vice President Charles Nurnberg called him to discuss the possible purchase of the reprints of the book. So now all of a sudden, Og was called in because the Vice President said, we want to discuss to actually buy the rights to reprint your book. Now, that's a big breakthrough.
Yeah, this is a big deal. Yeah, this is a big deal for him.
Why was it a big deal according to you? Then I'll tell you what I think it is.
Because this is like taking it to the next level. This is like when you got a small company and now all of a sudden a big company comes and they buy your product. So for him, it's like he was, I would say, in the mid leagues. Now he's in the higher leagues, and that's a step up from where he was.
But here's a caveat.
And his book is literally getting published all over the world by that guy.
But here's the caveat. Did Og Mandino go out and look for that opportunity, or did it
No,
come to him?
it came to him.
What do we learn from that?
Right place, right time.
If we are patient enough, and if we are purposing our lives according to the greater plan, things will happen to us at the right time. You know,
Yeah.
I can't help thinking of my own discipline on a daily basis where I manifest all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory. I manifest that every day
Correct.
because it's a part of my mindset in terms of, because I can say it, I can believe it. And we'll see later on in tonight's chapter how mindset plays actually a vital part. So to you, listening to this, I'd like to challenge you. What are the 5 affirmations that you say on a daily basis that literally elevates you and increases your performance, that increases your game plan, that takes you to the next level? Because remember, it doesn't come by itself. If I say to you, give me an affirmation, go. You must be able to give it. If you can't, well, you don't have an affirmation. It's as easy as that. Well, then we see something happen here on page 37 in the middle. Og Mandino is on his way to this meeting, and all of a sudden he sees a church. What happens, Daniel?
Yeah. He went in to pray, basically to ask for guidance. And I mean, that's the only reason why I would say we went into a church at that stage, because you know that this meeting is going to for the sales of his books is a very important thing. So what does he do? He goes to a church and asks the higher power for help and guidance.
For me, I took something very specific out of that often we will be challenged to get to such a great door that could open that we need to say to ourselves, can I do this in my own flesh, or do I need superior help? And I think this is what Og Mandino got right, because from where he came from, his mother that walked the road with him, that took him to church, that laid the foundations with him, that was praying with him and for him, and he just somehow knew, this is a biggie. I need to get on my knees, man. I just need to go and pray for this. Now, I actually wrote here on the side, wow. You know, here's a businessman. And the guy that won't admit this to anybody, but he is admitting it to Simon Potter. You know what? I actually went and I prayed, because that is what made the difference. And then they describe further on the path of remembrance, because how he remembered, how his mom played a role, how that was the way he grew up. And to you listening in, do you remember when you went to Sunday school? Do you remember the first time where you took and you put your hand on the Bible and just touched it? Do you remember when you had your first discussion about a life at a different level? Well, I think this chapter is reminding us that we need to look a little bit deeper in terms of the past seedbed that's been laid for us was there for a purpose. And it's time for us to look back a little bit. Do you often reflect back on your life like that, Daniel, and ask questions?
Yes, I do, because ever since I've been, I would say, involved with this book and learn that, you see your past and you see, hey, this didn't happen or that didn't happen, and now all of a sudden it started making sense why things happened the way it happened.
True.
So in a reflection, you're like, oh, okay, that's why that. Oh, okay, that's why that. And you start understanding why things are the way they are at the moment in your life.
Well, we find in that's exactly what happened, is that they go down memory lane and they speak about he was editor of the high school newspaper, and how he actually used to take it, submit it to his mother. His mother used to vet it and help him to a higher level. And he actually saw the role of his parents. Now, so often you and I sojourn through life, but we forget to think that we actually are a product of our parents, whether we like it or not. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. I don't care who you are, but you have a father and you have a mother. Now, even if your father's not there anymore, or your mother's not there anymore, you are a product of two people coming together in union, and you are not a mistake. And there's only one of you in the universe because of how you were conceived. And I would like us not to forget that there's only one of you. And here's the truth. In the years to come and to come, there never ever will be another you. That's a fact. You are unique. In fact, you're very rare. Okay. So he just goes back. But now, what Og does is that he speaks to his mom and he says, Mom, we made it. We're here. We're the best. So he's like, with expectation, he goes into this meeting, but he actually speaks to his mother after he'd been at church, which brings that connection. So I learned one thing. When we humble ourselves and we go on our knees and we seek for help, we are reminded of those who actually walked the journey with us. And maybe there needs to be a shout out of gratitude. I just remember how coming back from school, we used to come and my mom was on her bed drinking her tea. We used to hop on the bed and sit and tell her stories. She said, and tell me what happened and who did you see and what did you achieve? And thinking back of this book, thought back of my own mom, of how she was there and how she literally uplifted our spirits and she gobbled up everything because she was so proud of her children. Obviously, sometimes she did embarrassing things. I mean, if you did something well, she put it in the newspaper. Okay, that was going a bit far. But still, that's what parents do. And
Yeah.
the lesson for us is that we need to reflect back every now and then and say, are we grateful? Is there a line of gratitude? Can you think about your role that your parents played, Daniel?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you look at this and in Og Mandino's case, is I also see that his mother believed in him. His mother believed that he's going to be a top writer, and at this moment is basically where he realizes that belief his mother had in him is actually now becoming reality.
True.
And sometimes, you only need somebody to believe in you for you to become the person you need to become.
So I want this opportunity
That's very
for
powerful.
whoever listens up. Daniel, I would like to say, sit and reflect for a moment. Just put your hand on paper and say, who has believed in me somewhere in my life? And let your mind just go on a journey and you'll find, when I was 8 years old, my uncle, my father's brother, came to me. I was 8 years old. And I'll never forget that he gave me a little gift, which was a parachute that I could shoot up like a rocket and came down as a parachute. And how I remember that. And he actually said to me, you are going to be a high flyer one day. Wherever you go, you will be just in the sky and people will look at you in admiration. I was 8 years old and I've never, ever forgotten that. And this book made me realize, thank you to that uncle of mine that played that role for me. So it's maybe time to just think of the people and to have a role of gratitude. Right?
Exactly. 100%. I agree with you on that one.
Now we shoot back to the boardroom, page 39. So here we go. Finally, the chairman of the board looked at my publisher, Fred Fell, and asked what we wanted for the paperback rights. And there he was. And he said, boldly, we sold 350,000 copies. We want $1 for every copy sold. And the whole table went, boom. Because here's a guy, they want the paperback rights, and he says, I've already sold 350,000 copies. I want $1. Now, guys, $350,000 is a lot of dough. It's a lot of money.
And way back then, it was way more.
Exactly. And Og just stated his case, and that's what he wanted. So then obviously they said, can you excuse us? We just have to sort of caucus a bit. Give us a private time.
Rethink this one.
Some shuffling around and clearing of throats.
Yeah.
What do you think to the listener? Do you think that they bought it? Or did they say, nah?
That was sort of like, that was sort of like, wow, the question came as like, I would say for the publisher side, it's like, is this guy really worth it? Is this book is really worth it? And I think it came down to the amount of books that's already sold. So I think that sealed the deal because, well, it's successful. So yeah, it's worth the $1.
You actually gave a little bit of the secret in there, and that is that because of the track record of previous success, you are entitled to position yourself with faith or with position or with posture. Why? Because your result speaks for itself. And that's
speaks for itself, yeah.
Because there was a proven result, a proven track record, he was able to put it out boldly. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've been in many boardroom meetings where the first thing is, forget it. And they would try and negotiate with you. However, is it a coincidence, I ask again, that when Og Mandino came back, they just went, we'll do it. What?
Yeah.
We'll do it. And now look at the comparison. Do you know that in the book, The Great Gatsby by Scott Fitzgerald? I wonder if the reader knows,
Yes.
What did he get as royalties? In fact, it's just crazy. He received only
Few cents.
$5.15 in royalties by the time he died. What? For The Great Gatsby? $15? $5.15. Come on. Now that just shows you, that's a comparison of how big $350,000 was in relation to $5. That just shows you favor. You know what I take out of this? If you are doing what you're supposed to do, and if you do it with the correct measure of faith for the right reason, and that is to help other people, there's no limit to what can be done. Because the focus was not on him making money. The focus was on him adding value to the lives of people.
Value.
Yeah, you and I are, Daniel, and we're going to get a secret tonight of why that was, call it a pay it forward, I believe. I believe that 350,000 was a pay it forward because already the creator knew what was going to happen. And we're going to reveal that to you just now. Well, and then he thought, maybe that was because I prayed in church. Maybe it was my mother's prayers. Well, let's look at page 49. What did Og do? Did he just sit and wait for the success to come to? Because now, remember, now he's got his $350,000 coming his way. Did he sit and do nothing? No. He took action. What did he do?
He went out.
What did he do?
Yeah, went out to publishings and talks. I would say in today's days, he will go on the news, on the talk shows, and go on the YouTube and stuff like that to expand the book, the sales, so that the sales can come in, that people can know who he is. So he went on the radio shows and all of that.
Avenue, radio, television,
yeah,
book signings to actually put it out there, although he'd already been compensated. You know, that's sort of like going an extra mile in my sense. You know, if like this guy didn't just sit and now say, I've made it, I've arrived. He still went and he did the due diligence. And I think that's a big lesson for us. Even if there's a huge success in your life, don't just sit back and say, I've arrived. Like the lotto winners. I mean, 1% might make it. The others, I mean, they just blow all the money. They've got no plan in place, and the money is not purposed by them, and therefore they go nowhere with being lotto winners. I think it's 1% that are successful. The rest all are losers after that. But then something very important happens in the middle of page 49, and that is that Simon Potter says something. Of course, the very same night you left it with me, it's a beautiful thing. The paperback people will sell millions of copies. Now I want you to see, for me, that was a wow. Yes, Simon Potter professing, testifying, manifesting that paperback will sell millions of copies. How important do you believe it is that we actually speak forth and that we speak positive over our circumstances? You tell me, Daniel.
Yes, it's you have to put it that way, because otherwise, then I always say, you know, your dream will always stay a dream unless you do something about it. And the least you can do is having a positive attitude towards it and say, well, this is X is where I'm going, and I'm gonna get there, and this is how I'm gonna do it. Because that, I would say, from my side, that puts you in a places. It focus you, it pinpoint focus you on where you're going. Because if you affirm it, you know where you're going, you know the roadmap. But if you don't know the roadmap, it's like, I'm just gonna, it's like haphazard, if you can put it that way. But so I believe you need to speak it for it to become a reality.
Well, I can tell you that very much as we're looking for that other principle, this principle is in Proverbs 18:21. This is the tongue is the power of life or death. Speak life and eat the fruit. Well, if you're sitting here and you have a troubled marriage, you know what you need to start doing? Speak life into it. Speak life into it so you can eat the fruit. If you have a teenager that is wayward, speak life into that child, into the circumstances, because it is time that you speak it and that you start believing it. Because the power of the tongue is life or death. Or are you speaking death and saying, you're just a loser, you will amount to nothing in your life? No.
Yeah.
Today is a deciding factor. I would like to encourage you, our listeners, change the way you speak. Speak positive. Doesn't matter what your circumstances are, because your tongue has the power of life. Speak life.
Yeah.
Then we see that Simon Potter poses a big question. He still says, man, the coincidence that our Fitz wife, Leisha, was mentioned in the book. I just can't believe it. Is it coincidence or is it chance? And now they're speaking about on the top of page 41. Is it coincidence or is it chance? And I think there's a powerful thing I want you to read for us of what Coleridge actually said. What is chance? Read it to us.
Which one is that? Oh, coincidence. Coleridge wrote
remember,
chance
or chance. And he says the old man sighed and shook his head, and he said, page 41.
Coleridge wrote that chance is but a pseudonym of God for those particular cases which he does not choose to subscribe to openly with his own signature. In other words, I would say, if I can put it that one small, is like chance is basically where God gives you something, but it doesn't say it is him giving you that something.
I think he's exercising his own principle. It's a pseudonym. Nobody knows that he actually said it or he wrote it.
Yes.
Because he's giving to you. And this is what Coleridge said, that chance is a pseudonym of God that makes it happen in the heavenlies. And that is where he didn't want to subscribe to it openly with his signature that he signed it. That just changes for me the word chance.
I did this. Yeah.
That for me changes that we are given chances. And here's the big caveat. Sometimes God gives us a second chance. Oh,
correct.
What will we do with the second chance? What will we do? You know, Daniel, in 2007, on the 30th of June, 2007, I rushed to the aid of somebody else who was being hijacked, and I got shot. In fact, that night, 5 vehicles were hijacked. And because of our community, the police came and reported, it says, out of the 5 people, you're the only person that made it. I was shot. And I lay there, and remember we spoke about it, not to say why God, but what do you want me to learn? And that is how we just find that things happen to people. That's it. So in terms of what we're looking at, what is the context? It happened. What do you see as the context? So I'm asking you, Daniel.
It happened with a reason. There's a
Yeah.
I would say whenever something has happened to you, that there's always a reason. There's a reason for it happening to you. It doesn't happen just because it happens. As you say, there's a lesson to be learned. And if you don't learn the lesson today, it's going to come back maybe tomorrow or the day after that to give you that second chance to learn the same lesson.
Right. And I really believed that was my second chance to say, what will you do for me? And the focus moved from me being in business myself to being in business for others and helping others go to the next level. That changed my life. I'll be honest with you.
Yes.
That changed the way I approached life. Now, very much we go back here and we say, in society, remember that there are a lot of books that was on the shelf, led by the hand of God. They speak about books such as Wake Up and Live, The Power of Positive Thinking, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Why is he making mention of these great books that were written? And that is that
because it's
have been written to do what for us?
It's self-help books. It changes your perspective on where you are. It changes your way of thinking, I would say, and your way of doing and believing in your. Comes back to what I always say is believing in yourself. You don't believe in yourself, then it doesn't matter what happens. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Well, then after we get the influence from books like that, we see a question being asked to Simon Potter in terms of, hey, Simon, as a rag picker, how many people have you helped? Now, I would have expected an answer like as many as I could, but he surprised me. What was his answer? How many?
100. Very specific.
100. Like what? 100. I mean, specifically 100, which means I believe that Simon Potter asked him the question, said, if I'm going to do this good deed, how many people would I like to influence? And he said, 100. And he actually lived his purpose of rag picking those human beings, picking them up, that raw material, and bringing a document to them that would change their life. Now, he says, for some students on page 42, it speaks about our lack of self-esteem, which produced our failure as universal sickness, always originated from the complex of either anxiety, guilt, or inferiority. The three standard emotional problems recognized by most students of psychiatry. So think about those things: anxiety, guilt, and inferiority. Isn't that exactly the attack that's upon us? For us to always feel that we're anxious about life, or we feel guilty about something that we've done, or we feel we're not good enough, we're inferior. And that is true, and that is what's pulling people down. And that's when Simon Potter said, you know what, I'm going to give you 4 rules. We're not going to get those rules tonight, but he mentions the word 4 rules, and I want you, the listener, to remember 4 rules that they'll be speaking about that's going to change the way you behave and how you do life. So that's one of the secrets, is the 4 rules. Okay. And then
it's interesting. It's interesting that Simon says that is the universal sickness that always originate from those 3 things: anxiety, guilt, and inferiority. And if I look at it, those 3 things are things that breaks you as a person. It breaks you down, no matter who you are, and that makes it universal. Doesn't matter what personality type or what kind of person you are. These 3 poisons will get to you, and it will break you down as a person.
And here's the thing: whether you speak English or German or Italian, it's exactly the same. Those 3 things pull you down. It's just absolutely scary. So let me see on page 43 that literally that he said to him, I just want you to, again, what did you do? He said 100 copies. I numbered them from number 1 up to number 100, and I gave them all out. And all I have left is the master copy. Okay.
Master.
Remember, I still have just a master copy. Okay. And he says, what is it about? He says, well, I wanted people to remember that we still care. There are still 2 people who care. God cares for you, and I care for you. And I want you to see that partnership. Like Daniel, when you contacted me, when I needed that lift, you became my rag picker. It was God, and it was you, Daniel, that you said, hey, Ant, I'm there for you. And you paid it forward. You made sure that I got this book because you knew it would do what only God can do. But you had to be obedient. So for our listeners out there, as you can see, this is why we're discussing the power of this book. That's why in chapter 4, we get into the meat tonight. The 2 secrets are going to be revealed now very shortly, okay, of why this is so powerful. But you can make that difference in somebody else's life by also paying it forward with this book. And you're going to find out now, just now, why. Okay. And at the bottom of page 43, there's a sentence: they will resurrect themselves from living deaths. So there's a promise.
Yes.
With these 4 rules, the people who apply those 4 rules will actually resurrect themselves from the living death. It means they're alive, but they're dead on their feet. Wow. Wow. Now, then he mentions in page 44, he says it's a message from God, and he says it's a hand of hope. So there's one of the secrets tonight. It's the hand of hope. And then he gave a comparison. The lady with the perfume was made. Just talk to us about that, Daniel.
There was then it went into talking about a guy who sold perfume to people, and he was extremely successful. And one of the meetings, I think it was an end of year or something meetings, and the guy said, but you know, what makes you successful? And then he said, it's like, I don't know if you wanna open. Yeah, I'll let you explain to you what that guy said. that made him successful. It wasn't the money or the promotion or everything. There was just one single thing that he did that made this thing, the company that he sells his perfume, like huge amounts of
I'll
money.
first read what is
And it's
not.
very, very, very interesting.
They said it was not selling to women because of the exotic odors, not about the glamour, not about the sexual magnetism. What he's selling was hope.
Hope.
So perfume was selling hope. Hope of a better connection, hope of better relationships, hope of a better you. There's our first secret tonight. Stop pushing a product down somebody's throat. Rather, sell them hope. You can be the hope for that person, but you need to help them imagine. Here's the problem. People don't dream anymore. People don't know what is possible. Yes. So your and my job is to help people dream about what is possible. In other words, give them hope. Give them hope that there is a better solution. That was the first secret. And then the second secret. Then Simon Potter, and I'm going to ask you to tell us there. At the bottom of page 44, Simon Potter says, he started to laugh. A what? Read it, Daniel.
A memorandum from God, Simon.
What do you mean a memorandum? Think about it. 2,000 years, there were 2 tablets coming down from Mount Sinai. Remember, God communicated with King Belshazzar in the palace. He wrote on it. Because whenever there was an oracle of God, it was in written format. First, the commandment, they said to him, okay, come on, give me the 10. Can you recite them? Guy went, don't be stupid. I sort of remember. Don't steal, don't lie. But I can't recite it word for word. He said, He said, can you remember what he wrote on that wall? No, I can't remember. Mene, etc. Couldn't remember. All right. And he says, you know what? That's why it's a memorandum, because in today's world, in business, everybody communicates with a memo, one person to another person. You write a memo, you send a memo, it's email, it's fax. Those years it was fax, etc. So it's a memorandum. But here's the secret, a memorandum from God. So what do you mean a memorandum from God? So remember those 100 handouts that I did? These were all handouts of a memorandum of God that I gave to people. But I only have one left, the master copy.
Master copy.
Master copy. And then Og looks at it like, what do you mean? He says, well, I just feel compelled. And what does Simon Potter decide to do? Tell us, Daniel.
Simon decided to give this master copy to Og. That's where this comes down to.
And then obviously they start, but first the things of, but hold on. When you say it's a memorandum from God, these are God's words. Isn't that blasphemy? What do you mean blasphemy? Blasphemy is only when you ridicule God and you actually pull it out of context. But this is something uplifting. It's from the hand of God. And I felt inspired to write it from the hand of God to society. They said, but there's only one condition. And here's the secret we're talking about on God's memorandum. Number one, Og, you need to treat it onto yourself before you hand it to anybody else by reading it every single day for 20 minutes until the habit is formed. What do you mean I have to read every day? 20 minutes a day because of your mind. And he says to him, and he says there on page 46, reading the same message each night before you go to sleep opens many hidden passages in your mind. In other words, as you read this and you repeat this and you repeat this, passages open in your mind. In fact, I can truthfully tell you, since I've been doing it, I'm dreaming again. I'm dreaming, and then I'm like, okay, what does this dream mean? So I find that there's a communication to me that I haven't had before. But it wouldn't have happened because the passage is opened in my mind. And it says, because you're getting these messages over and over and over, here comes the mindset part. You unconsciously begin to react. Unconsciously. You start speaking positively. You start being more grateful. And it says, slowly, day by day, you and I change. Remember that thing what change is? As the pseudonym from God, that he allows to happen because he wants you and I to change. So there's the second secret. The first secret was, it was hope. The second secret is the God memorandum to you and to me. But we have to be disciplined to read it over and over and over to embed the principles so that it can gradually change who we are. Wow.
That comes back to what we talked earlier in one of the previous videos that we did, previous chapters, is this is basically the memorandum is there to program your mind to think different, and so that you can create the dreams or that you create your dream, make your dreams become reality, because it will give you the I'm going to say the programming algorithms in your head, put it that if I put it computer wise, to actually know what to do to make your dreams come reality, because you're thinking different. You reprogram basically your mind and take away that anxiety and all that poison. It extracts that from your mind, so your mind can be open and clear, and for the things that you need to do and where you need to go to.
You know, Daniel, I find out asking a question to our readers tonight. Would you agree, if you did this exercise that will give hope from the hand of God, this memorandum that will change your mind, to take away your anxiety, to take away your fear, to take away your inferiority, that possibly it's worth your while to spend time in this book the way it is suggested? Because you see, before you can help others, you have to first help yourself. That's why I said to Og, you must promise me that you yourself will do this exercise before you hand it to anybody else. And that is the secret. You first have to get in and change the gears yourself. You cannot go from first gear to second gear if there's no action. You need to take the control of that vehicle. Your hands on the steering wheel. You know, it's like, Lord, I will keep it on the road. No, sorry, I will keep it in the road. You keep it on the road. Just imagine, because as you pick up speed, I'll keep it in the road, you keep it on the road. There's this dualism that we get. And then we basically find
and
that.
And also on that point, there is, if Robert Hollis haven't given this book to me to read and to go through the God memorandum, I wouldn't have been able to give this on to others. So you need to go through this book yourself. For the people that's watching, you need to go through the programming or the enlightenment yourself before you can give it on to others.
And you know what? Because we're discussing the meat tonight, I want to promise the reader that tonight says, I'm in, that we will send you a gift later on, as we get later on in this book, as we progress. But you have to tonight say, I'm in, and we will put your name on a shelf somewhere, and we will promise you that we'll give you a free gift from this book that will change your life. And I think just as we end off, it says on page 48, and it said to Og, you will use it personally. It says, because you know why, Og? The world praises you, yet you do not praise yourself. Boom. There's this successful author that has written this book. They paid him royalties of $350,000, but yet he said to him, the world praises you, but you don't praise yourself. That is one of the worst philosophies of anybody to go next level. So I want to ask you, listening in tonight, are you one of those? It's okay that you praise others, but when they praise you, when they gift you, no, thank you. No, you need to be able to celebrate yourself. You need to be able to praise yourself. You need to be able to look in that mirror and say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. It is so vitally important that we get that message from chapter 4. We need to celebrate and praise ourselves. But you see, as we finish off tonight, this is from the hand of God. And this is coming to you. Daniel, I want to thank you that we could handle chapter 4 tonight, and that we could actually be conduits to just throw the seed. Can you just repeat the 2 secrets for us for tonight? Go, Daniel.
Just before I do that, I just want to mention the last thing about that is, and that's for now, from my side for giving this book to you. And that is right on the bottom page of 48 is where he says, who do you now? I've been through this book, I've read the memorandum, and who do I give this to? Because that's going to be your next question, and that's going to be your next question, Dr. And as well. And he says there, to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and the desire to help themselves. So when you go through this book and you've learned the knowledge of it, you must then give it to those who've got eyes to see and ears to hear. Not everybody is probably going to do it, but give it to those who are willing to help themselves, because this book will change their lives, as if it has mine, my mentors, and now yours as well.
As it's still changing my life every single day, because it's a process.
Exactly.
Nothing in life is a quick fix. So Daniel, I want to thank you. And yes, those two secrets. The first one is it's a message of hope. We have to have hope that things can change. And the second thing is God is willing to give us a memorandum, but we have to do our due diligence on a daily basis to get our mind into the message so that we can digest it, so that it can become part of who we are, so that gradually we start doing things a different way, so that our lives can change. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
and my hope is just that you, that the viewer, have got the eyes to see and the ears to hear and the willingness to help yourself out of wherever place you are at the moment. Absolutely. To a better place, because we believe in you. We've got hope for you.
I'm on Daniel's side right there, because it's about you. That's why you're listening in. That's why you are looking for that passage that has been hidden as a secret, because that's what a secret is. It's hidden, and you need to go and find it. I mean, who doesn't want to go and find something that is of value and of worth, that is hidden and is buried? But you can actually get to the truth by digging it out. So leaders are readers, and you are here because you want to change your life. And Daniel, I can't wait to continue. Next time we see you with chapter 5. Tonight was chapter 4. And from us, be blessed.